Anyway, I'm Vlatko Kosturjak. This is Dobrica Pavlinusic. We actually talking together, but we had hard time finding ourselves in FRAB. So it's actually two persons talking, not just me. I'm here actually for the. I think I have been to all Balkans so far, so I really like it. And Dobrica is here for the first time, so please give him a warm welcome, so he can come again. Yeah. And because we had hard time like updating the FRAB to have him also as a co-speaker. In short, we will talk about hacking hardware to talk with Android. What that means is we will talk how to actually develop some kind of hardware to talk with Android, how we can adapt some kind of hardware to talk with Android, and so on. So this is something we will cover in this 45 minutes, actually 1 hour if we take questions, right? And if you have any questions, feel free to ask it during presentation as well. So this is something which we will talk. We also have some kind of demonstrations just to show off some of the things. And yeah, let's go. In short, if you don't know me, I'm actually a security consultant in Vlatko, actually yet another penetration tester, right? And I'm actually developing a lot of my own open source projects, and also I help to contribute to a lot of other projects open source, mostly security related. And you can actually find me on the GitHub. This is the link, so you can find the projects I'm working on. Regarding my Android experience, well, I'm counting from my first Android market app, so it's since 2010. And I'm not focusing mostly on Android development like Java and that stuff. I'm mostly focusing on NDK, ADK. What that means native development kit, right, and accessory development kit, which is kind of low-level things. So how it looks like? Well, it's usually like this one, right? A lot of wires, and yeah, I also done like porting Nmap to different architectures. So if you were using, for example, Nmap on Android or on Kindle, probably used my patches or the binary if you trust me enough, right? And Dobrica is.
I'm working as a system administrator in library in Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Zagreb. I'm free software bigot since 1995. I also had a GitHub. I have blog on which you can follow me if you like hardware. And to be quite honest, I don't like Android as much as Kost do, but I do like hardware.
Okay. So the first question is actually, should I develop hardware at all? Why I'm asking this question? Because usually you can just take something off the shelf and just adapt it to your needs. What that means? So for example, Arduino is much popular nowadays, and you can find it everywhere. And everybody who starts playing with it, it actually starts with, oh, I have this temperature sensor, and I will connect it to the internet, and I will have temperature, right? I guess everybody who tried Arduino probably started with this way. But actually, if you just need temperature, you actually don't need to connect Arduino and such stuff. You can just take some kind of Android phone, and if it have good sensors, you can actually just reuse the hardware, and just if you have some kind of old Android phone, you can just take it and adapt it and write the software for it, and then you can have like your temperature, ambient temperature to the internet, right? So usually the problem is not all Android hardware is same. So if you have some kind of Samsung phone, or if you have HTC or whatever, it doesn't have all the sensors. So you have to be really picky which one you will take. So for example, if you have OnePlus One, it doesn't have ambient temperature. If you have Samsung, it have, and so on. So it's always kind of different, right? And that's why it's actually, if you want to do it some kind of a mass application, maybe it's not that way. But if you just needed to quickly do it something, you just need to find some kind of old hardware and just take the the phone which have like such kind of sensor. So yeah. The other thing is if you need like to combine much more sensors, like I don't know, ambient temperature and wind sensor and so on, right? You can always like take something which an Android have and just connect the other ones which you're missing. It's much cheaper than having a development from the start, right? If you count your time and everything. So to prove this point, I actually made some kind of simple Android app to log all the sensors you have. So it will detect all kind of environmental sensors. That means temperatures and everything, and it will log to whatever URL you get it, right? So it will just send, like, let's call it REST, right? It will send all those sensors data to some kind of location you specify. You specify URL, just leave it, and it will actually send all the sensor data.
It was actually my birthday present from Cost, and my use case was I was trying to figure out when my washing is done. And I said, okay, I can make a sensor, I can make Arduino, I can take ESP8266, or I can take old Android phone and just tunnel all the sensors up to web server somewhere and then crunch data there, and from that data, because you usually have enough sensors there, including sound and everything, to actually figure out from them what is your washing machine doing.
So until your phone drops from the washing machine, right?
Which you will also detect.
Yeah, so it's really basic application. It's not so user-friendly, but it actually does the things which are supposed to do, right? Of course, this can be a privacy invader because Dobrica asked to embed like GPS logger, so it's better to use some kind of encryption, right? So you have actually all the GPS coordinates from the GPS and all the sensor data sending somewhere else, right? Yeah, it can be privacy invader, but Dobrica doesn't care.
Yeah, so. You don't have privacy anyway on the internet, so.
So, if you really cannot find something which you can reuse from the Android, and there is nowadays there's a lot of phones which have really a large number of sensors on it. So if you cannot find it, right, then you have to develop your own, right? The first thing is, okay, what should I do, right? Where to start? Well, just think, is it your final goal to actually develop the ready-made kit, or you're just wanting to do something, solve problem once and forget it, right? For yourself and not for everyone else, right? And it also depends about your user experience and speed of communication and communication security, what you will choose to actually communicate with all these sensors. What you will need actually is some kind of this kit if you're starting. I don't know if you're already doing some hardware, but this is actually something you will need. Yeah, we're actually lazy, so we just borrow it for a guy who we know, who actually wrote it what you will need. And you can actually find it easily on the like Deal Extreme or AliExpress and all those Chinese websites where you can buy nice electronic stuff.
And just to be completely...
This is something what you will need. Sorry.
And just to be completely frank, we don't agree with him in his choice of soldering iron, but you know.
Yeah, we also don't agree on what else do you need, right? Beside that, also we would recommend to have a bus pirate, of course, for analyzing, and TTL serial cable. But you actually don't need TTL cable if you have bus pirate, because you can always like have serial mode inside bus pirate. Yeah, it's this is something like you have different kinds, and you can find it from, I don't know, $20, $30 to 60, right? Depending on the version and everything. So yeah, and this is of course logic analyzer SLA for which you can buy for $10, which can get you started analyzing things.
This is a Chinese clone of Celea logic analyzer, just to be completely frank.
Yeah, the best part is actually it works with SIGROC, so you can actually get all the data and everything from for example, if you try to play with the SIGROC and pulse view. So if you look from the hardware perspective or communication perspective, your hardware can talk right with different things, with wireless, Bluetooth, NFC, USB, serial, whatever, right, you choose. And if you start with the wireless, yeah, you know everything, right? We are here at, I would call it technical conference, so I will not explain all this stuff. And yeah, these are some of these options. And what I find useful for reversing once I find some kind of hardware which I want to adapt is actually this is kind of toolkit which I prefer to have. Of course, if I'm just getting the data to actually analyze it, of course, Kismet and Aircrack and TCP dump helps a lot. But for actually analyzing it, of course, Wireshark and T-Shark. But if I have a lot of traffic, I prefer to have it inside Moloch. It indexes it a lot and it uses like Elasticsearch, so you can actually go through it very easily and find the patterns yourself. You have it on the Docker as well, Dockerized, so you can just actually Docker build it and have it directly from there. And also sometimes if the protocol is much more complex, I use pickup bindings for, of course, one of your favorite languages, right? And yeah, hex editor always helps. So let's go for some quick example. So this was one example where my daughter was, I don't know, crazy about RC cars, remote control cars. Dobrica have it one here. It's actually being good at it as I am. I bought her one, right? So I let her play it, right?
Every little girl needs a RC car, right?
Yeah. So yeah, after some time, yeah, that means 2 days. She lost interest, right? So they got the interest. Okay, so you play it. You don't want to? I'll play it, right? And okay, it's now daily toy. First thing which we will do, of course, we will take it apart. So how it works actually? That car is actually wireless access point, and it's open wireless network with specific SSID. You just connect it, and it's typical TCP/IP with different ports, and you can connect it and just use it, right? And if you do basic enumeration, there's like few ports for different communication. And if you see, there is like a HTTP server, and you have also like some kind of strange port on 2001, right? And yeah, if you just connect to this port, like to 8080, you have like open wireless camera. What that means? That means that if somebody connects, right, to this toy, it's actually, there's no protection on network or application level, and there's no password, no encryption, no authentication on any levels. That means everybody can connect to it and, of course, look at the stream of the camera, or like take advantage of the car itself. Yeah, if you are sitting on your ears like for a few years now, yeah, we are in an era where toys can spy on us and get into business. But the problem is, if you're pessimistic, you will say, oh, this is privacy invading and security, right, yada, 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 and so on. But if you're optimistic, you can always have a new business opportunity, right? So this one is get into business with camera covers for toys, right? So it depends how you look at things. So if you look at the basic protocol analysis, yeah, using Wireshark, you just look at the data, trying to find the patterns. What I actually like is, I like to use a graphical interface to actually do like kind of quick analysis, structural analysis, and then if I find some kind of pattern, then I use like text for finding the patterns, and Wireshark helps me to actually dump it completely in, for example, in C, so I can actually just test it and send it. So how it looks like, actually, this is kind of, you just use a little shell scripting and so on, and then you can actually find easily patterns. So here is an example where I extracted the patterns itself. If you look for some time and you try like different patterns, that means, for example, go forward, you will see if it's, what bits are changing, and then you try to go down and left and right, and now you know which bits are changing, and then you try to experiment, send to the device, and then of course you know the how the protocol looks like, right? So, in this example, it's okay. I will try to be on the microphone, so I will just use the mouse. So here you can actually see they have some kind of starting, like starting of command, and here they have some kind of end of command, like FF. And here is, for example, usage of forward motor or backwards or left or right and so on. And here is little checksum, which is standard basic checksum, which is easily you can identify, right? So let me show you how it works and how you can actually connect it. Have you connected? Yep. So we have Hakka here. It should work, right? So what they wrote here is. Oh, thanks. So it's basic. I found out the protocol and I just sent to everything like, okay, you go left, right, and now you know everything, and then go backwards. But this is not actually the point. The point is actually combining the Android itself with his sensors and with his protocol and everything. So, for example, I will just show you one of the things you can do. You can actually just script it, right? And the other thing is you can actually, let's say, let me.
It turned off in the meantime.
Yeah, it always works when you restart, right? And actually, the good thing is you can actually script it and then say, okay, I'll just go this way, and so on. But actually combining this and the phone, you can actually have like kind of a design. You can actually have pattern recognition with the phone. He's good enough. And he have also the camera, and Android have a camera, so you can actually like combine it and see like obstacle detection and so on using by these all things. And he have also GPS, so you can actually combine everything and have some kind of self-autonomous drive combining these two, right? You can also do other things. One of the examples is, for example, I don't know, let's try to force it to have a pirouette or something, right? So it's going like left, right, and so on, right? And so on. The other part, this doesn't work. So the other part is actually having something like, let me try this one. So if it phone rings, so for example, we can set it to actually go around the circle if somebody is calling who you like. And if somebody is not calling who you like, right, then it can, I don't know, go over and over again or hide in the corner or something like this, right? So let's try this one. Let me just set it up. Okay. So I will connect to the phone. And now we will try to call. It takes some time to actually connect, so.
No hands.
I can actually. Let me help you. So, you can actually see on the phone how it looks like. Right? I can show on the camera. Right. You'll split. So if I call it, right?
You probably don't see anything, right?
Oh. Does it ring? Okay. So now he got the call, and now it should like send command to actually go around or something, right? The problem is, I guess it didn't connect to wireless, right? Sometimes it's very shaky because if there's some kind of connection, like 2 or 3 people connecting to the same card, then it have problems. So yeah, restart always helps, right? Okay, it's on. Yeah, we have to pray to the demo god. Sometimes it just doesn't work, right? So much.
We are now waiting for the wireless network of the car to appear. And here it is, the first one on the top.
Yeah. It actually have the HTTP server on inside and everything, right? So please, if you are connecting right now, please don't. Because the demo probably will not work if there's too much people connecting to the same SSID. So maybe you want to censor it until we are done so they can later play with it, right?
Ah, you can play with it. We trust you all. You are all our friends.
It's just... Не, мисля съм
This is connected.
Що, за вами не можеш нищо свічно. So what we are doing is like waiting on intent of actually a broadcast receiver for a phone, and then if it rings, then it should connect and go around. But now, yeah, we will try later. Why does it work? We will try on the end. Sorry. But we will continue. You saw the half of part of it, but Dobrica will work on it, so you will see it on the end. Sorry for... Yeah, so, yeah, as you can see, our prayers weren't so good, so yeah, we only just got half of it. So, but you know what's the most interesting part now? When I started playing, now she wants it back, right? And the other things which actually is good for communication if you have kind of hardware is of course Bluetooth, which of course like BTLE and so on. And I mean, it's standard thing and you can actually find it on the reference on developerandroid.com and so on, so I will not cover it too much. The only thing which kind of it's not documented there is like Bluetooth analysis, right? What is mostly interesting is that the tools, I guess you know already, like Ibertooth 1, Spectrum Analyzer, GNU Radio and SDR, right, can help. While Spectrum Analyzer and like GNU Radio and SDR is very low level. But with other tools you can actually get it much more better, like those tools, right? So it works, huh? Yeah. Yeah, you can actually do it and so on. There is also like possibility to actually implement such communication also with from the phone gap applications and from the Cordova applications and so on. So yeah, it works also without any problems. But this is everything standard and documented, so I will not go into too much into details. Everything is there. There is also like NFC communication. I haven't seen too much, but it's actually from the other side can be secure and not. So yeah, Dobrica want to tell you something about the NFC, right? If you are using something like this.
Yeah, we are we are used to NFC, but basically it's two different frequencies and few different protocols on the high frequency which we had on the previous slide. And the thing I have to warn you is that if you have the older Android phone with the NFC, you actually have the better device, because in the newer devices they actually disable the MyFair Classic cards, which is quite good because we should phase them out and there are known security attacks against them for the last 5 years or so. But in a sense, the newer phones can read less cards than the older ones. And then if your phone does not read the card, or if you have some kind of access token for the doors, it's probably the other frequency which is not in NFC, but it's also wireless, which is not supported on the Android. So not all RFID cards are created equal.
Okay, yeah, and the other way how you can actually communicate with some kind of hardware if you have like an Android phone is actually with USB, right? You have usually port for charging and you actually can use it for communication. Options which you have, actually there's a lot of different options, but most usual ones are actually with as a serial device and as a key device, which is actually like your keyboard input or so on. So that means you can actually make it very easy to work with, for example, with this badge, Balkan badge, you can actually make it work with Android as well as any other, right? If you had any experience with rubber ducky scripts or, I don't know, Arduino and such things, that actually, yeah, it's the same thing. And what's the most interesting part, you can actually just reuse it. If you're on the offensive side, you can actually reuse it to have some kind of, I don't know, enable debugging and so on. So some such kind of attacks. But also, if you're working on something to work with Android, it's actually good to have some kind of communication with keyboard and mouse, right? The other standard thing is like storage device, but there's not so much options if you have some kind of sensors to have something like this, right? And HDB device to actually, like, I don't know, work over the bridge, right? HDB daemon. The only problem is once you start developing with USB, right? You're actually losing the way how to debug, because you cannot have the same connection, right, to your computer and to the device. That's why ADB over TCP/IP or ADB over network is kind of cool. So you can actually have it over the network, and then you can actually work with the device itself once you're programming, right? Of course, there are models where you have multiple USB ports, so yeah, then you can do it, right? But usually, if you have phone or tablet, usually it's only one port, and then you have to enable ADB, right? Over TCP/IP. And yeah, that's usual, like print case or toast messages are usually very good in debugging such problems. How you enable it, there is like a lot of ways. It's actually what you do is you have port and it just communicates over TCP port. And there are also like security implications in short. That means usually if you open up ADB port on the network, that means everybody can actually debug and own your Android device. So you don't want to enable it in an unsecure environment, right? And how you can actually set it, there is like a lot of Android apps who actually helps you to enable like wireless ADB. And usually it doesn't need root. For any newer device, you don't need to have root to actually enable ADB over network. So this is usually commands which you can actually do it in terminal if you don't want to install anything, or just use ADB or shell or terminal from the Android. And it actually really helps in debugging hardware problems. Of course, there is also options to actually write your own device driver. That's the problematic on Android because it is hardware dependent. What I mean, like your own device driver, is that you write your own kernel module. That will not work for people who doesn't have root. So you don't want to go that way if you want to have a lot of users who doesn't want to have root and so on and so on. And you also have like kernel compatibility. There is like a lot of different kernels, and if you how you're gonna distribute it, should everyone compile it, and so on. There is a lot of cases where it's really the only way to do it. But if you are doing anything like user-friendly, then probably this is not the way to go. But there is also like specific cases. If you need speed or if you need some kind of specific drivers, right, then it's the only way.
Or you have some kind of particular Android hardware which you are writing custom application for, it's a valid option.
Yeah, definitely. And also there is like, the other way is actually follow the Accessor development kit from the Google. Yeah, that's the safe way, right? It's officially supported. You have support for Bluetooth, USB, and so on. And it all works over Android Open Accessory Protocol. They don't have to have root and so on. And Google is actually distributing such boards like to test it. This is actually Arduino interfacing Android, and you can actually test it. There is like few versions of these ADKey demo boards which Google distributed a few years ago on IoE conferences, right?
But in a sense, it seems to us that Google actually abandoned that idea because they didn't mention it in the last few Google I/Os, and all the code which you will actually find right now won't work without modifications if you try it on the older hardware. The good side is that this is Atmega 256, the big Arduino, in a sense with the additional shield. So everything you can do on ADK, you can do on Arduino Mega. So it might be a viable option, but then again, out of the box, it's not as well supported as the next possibility, which Kost will tell us.
Yeah, this one is actually very well documented on their website, so we don't care too much about it, right? And here is the other thing is actually serial communication, right? The good part is that root is not needed in newer versions of kernel, and you can actually communicate via serial cable, actual serial communication, and there is like support from Android 3, so that means a lot of phones would support it, and there is really good frameworks on top of API, so you can actually talk directly with hardware, and you don't need actually root, right? So this is something which is good, and what it's using, it's actually using like host API from Android, and there is like a serial driver library, so you can actually talk with CDC, FTDI, and so on, and of course with Arduino and so on. The good part about this one is you have like really good libraries, and you can actually talk directly with, of course, with API, but also there is good abstracting libraries to talk with it. So it really looks like this one. You don't need too much like code, and it's quite easy. And it's also, you can do it in JavaScript, like PhoneGap, Cordova, and such things, right? You just install the platform and plugin and start communicating with serial port, and yeah, it works out of the box, right? How it should be. The good part is actually, I'm using it, for example, if I need to quickly see something with Bus Pirate, you can actually just have this kind of like Go2G cable, right? And you just connect to the, for example, to the Bus Pirate, and you can actually have it on the tablet, Bus Pirate, or on the phone, or whatever. And if you need to quickly something to look up, then you can really just connect it directly, right? You don't need to connect phone, connect computer, and so on. So it's kind of really good library. So the other example, for example, using like a serial communication is this multimeter. You can actually find it on Deal Extreme. It's really UT61. And what's good about this multimeter, it have actually kind of interface where you can get the data which is displayed. And the part which is good is that actually you can really buy it really cheap. For example, we are from Croatia. In Croatia, you can find it in local electronics store called Chipoteka, and you can also find it in Deal Extreme and so on. and it have like a communication with serial, right? So if you look at it, it's really have like basic serial communication, and how you actually can actually see how it works with the protocol itself, right? Looking at the product specification, similar product specification, yeah, there is also like ways to actually detect the basic baud rate. So that means brute force guessing. I try with every speed and get the parameters, right? And the other parameters like stop bit, parity, and so on. And it's basic analysis of what we same done on the wireless, it's same on the serial port, right? Getting as much communication as possible, changing, flipping bits, and getting the how protocol looks like, right? And finding the patterns and differences. Right, if you look from the security considerations, yeah, it's quite open, no password encryption, no authentication, but this time it's not wireless, right? So it's only wired serial. And by looking at the serial communication, this one, for example, have this kind of communication, what we found out. It's standard 2400 bits per second, 8-bit, and so on. And it's really like easy, it just have 14 byte packets. And there is like a first few bytes value and the other are bit flags. Well, it's not so interesting from the security perspective, but it actually can help you in analysis. Why we think about this one is because what if I can get the readings on the Android phone, so I don't have to connect to the like personal computer, and for example I can get nice graph from the multimeter, so that means I have some kind of one-channel logic analyzer, right? And I can actually export values to CSV on the SD card and take picture with camera on spike with OSD. Why this? I think Dobrica will better explain it, right?
The idea is that you have some kind of motherboard in front of you, you find the ground, and you want to map some other headers on it. So the idea is to actually attach your ground from the multimeter to the board, and then just probe around the board, and every time the value or the reading changes, it will actually take the picture, which will include the point of your probe, if you position your Android phone correct, and the value you found on it, whether that pin was 3.3 volts, whether it was high or low. So you don't actually have to take notes while you are debugging something. You just browse through your pictures, and then if you want to make some kind of notes, and we think it might be really helpful tool.
So imagine you are doing analysis and you just put with those holders, right, your phone or a tablet, and connect your multimeter, and you just press the pins, and when it detects the spike, it will automatically take the picture and write the values to the EXIF and the picture itself, and then you just go through the pictures and know which pins you touched and what the value are, right? So it can kind of help you with debugging, however. And we actually wrote the proof of concept of this. It's Android application, like using serial library, and it's drawing graphs using Android plot. So let's see the demo. Yeah, we have some kind of, I don't know, Android tablet, and we will connect it using USB OTG cable, right?
Fingers crossed, this doesn't involve Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's serial communication, right? So only wires.
It's on?
Serial.
Yeah. No, of course not. I always forget it. Now it is.
Okay, let me try now to show you with cheese.
While Kost is preparing that, not all Unity 61 multimeters are created equal. If you have choice at all, take Unity 61E and not some other model. This is some other models, but the E model is much more precise. It's a 22,000 counts multimeter, which is quite amazing for $50.
So, as you can see, here it's actually first, it gives you a list of devices which you connected. That means you can actually have much more like serial devices, right? And much more multimeters. In this case, yeah, it asks for permissions if, yeah, we can talk to the device. And now you have like a really nice graph of the values here, right? Dobrica will try to change values so you can actually see the graph. The other part is what we talked is that it will try to do change detection, right? So it will beep if it change detection, if it detects sudden drop or spike, and it will automatically take picture and EXIF and so on. And so you can actually have it like here, taking pictures, and you can actually always look at the value, right? It depends which camera you will use and so on, right? And also there is option like to take a beep every time it detects the spike, so you can go further to analysis, right? Anybody finds it useful? Okay. So yeah, it helps actually in analysis. Let me turn this thing off. We can actually show it if we have time. We can come closer later. So you can actually see the values and how it detects the spikes. And yeah, this is the application itself. We will upload it to the GitHub and Play Store, so you can actually play with it. You just need to buy such multimeter, right? But
Or actually any multimeter with the serial port support and submit a patch, right?
Yeah, then you'll need to parse and do the protocol analysis for your own multimeter and add to the, but I will accept pull requests, of course, and you can fork it or whatever, right?
The good hint is to take a look at SIGROC, because it supports a huge range of multimeters, so you probably don't have to reverse engineer the protocol yourself if device is already supported in SIGROC. Just read the source code and re-implement that.
Yeah. So there is last one example, which is kind of a Broadlink RM Mini. I don't know if you heard for this device, but it's very cheap device, like $20, and it's some kind of let's call it like wireless to infrared bridge, because you can connect with wireless and then, I don't know, turn on the TV, turn off the air conditioner, and you can do it over internet, right? Standard like IoT things. And yeah, I got it from Tonimir. By the way, I visited his talk, his last talk before the Rakia workshop. And yeah, we started looking at it, as you can see, right? And it's actually a standard Marvel controller and so on. And looking at the communication, it actually, yeah, it talks to cloud. And but it actually, if you disable by your own firewall to not talk with internet, you can actually have local communication as well, right? But of course, it's unsecure and so on, but it actually just communicates on port 80, UDP, so if you sniff that communication and you turn on something, you can actually just do the replay attack and just repeat the same one and it will work, right? So it's same with any device, which you just take the payload, how you actually turn it on, and yeah, and you can do the replay over and over again, right? We didn't have time to actually analyze that cloud one communication, so yeah, it will be fun, right? So definitely worth looking if you want to join. We have some kind of pickup dumps of communications for example, 2 weeks, so you don't have to do it yourself. And yeah, so to be short, and how to actually develop hardware for Android, as you can see, we actually just try to take some kind of similar device which have similar like functionality, but we just add missing functionality. That means if this is not for the masses, it really helps, and you can really easily do something and adapt it, right? If you just need some specific sensors, maybe you don't need hardware at all, right? Maybe you can just reuse the standard sensors. And yeah, regarding all those custom hardware and so on, I really found out that serial communication is working pretty well. You don't need root, and I would say it's way to go in Android world with this one. Of course, if you need like wire communication, if you need wireless, yeah, you have a lot of options, which we mentioned, right? And we had really a lot of fun doing all these things. If you have any questions, we are here. Organizer asked us to actually, if you have some questions, you have to come here to the microphone. And yeah, we are looking forward for the questions.
And we have something for the questions, so it will be well worth it.
Yeah, if you're over 18, we have something, right?
Yeah, if you are over 18. Can you come to the mic?
Any questions?
Come on, gifts are small, but they're here.
Yeah, it's for preparation for Rakia workshop.
Come on.
Oh, we have one question here. Oh, you have to come up here and, oh, you have questions, okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry to ask something that's like such a tangent, but I've been wondering if I want to buy a nice oscilloscope, how I should go about it. Like, where can I find about like a...
Rico 11254Z.
What's...
You have to speak on microphone, though.
Sorry. Yeah. And I remember I needed, for my application, I need like the cheap ones that don't have, the cheap ones that don't work with, I think I need a high frame rate or something like that. So it needs to be a good one.
How much money do you have? Do you have
I had enough to get the good one, but I want it to be a good one.
Do you-
Actually good, not just...
You have $400.
Yeah.
Regal 10554Z.
Great.
And you can hack it to get double bandwidth because there is a key generator on the web for it. So,
Great.
you know, you turn $400 oscilloscope into $700 oscilloscope by just typing a few numbers.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Here is your gift.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
And you get a gift. I think we have, one more question.
I have a question about, you said we can connect to human interface device and some sort of an interface. Thank you. I wonder is, you said we don't need root, but I tried to use that abilities. It's actually requiring root to be acting like a mouse on keyboard and some sort of like that. And when you said it's only supporting, because I checked my kernel, I'm using 3.0, 3.4 is better than anything I know about it because it just has a lots of support on the default. So, but it still does require root. Are you sure it's only supporting some specific device has it? So it's kind of like a kernel dependent on it?
For serial, I'm pretty sure it works on 3 and
4
higher,
up kernel.
right? But for hit devices,
we need to customize the kernel because I know I edit myself.
Yeah, but the problem is if you want Android to be hit device, but if you want hit device to talk, to be like, if you want to connect mouse or a keyboard or this badge, Balkan badge, then you don't need root. That means
I asked the other ways. My Android gonna be a keyboard and mouse acting like that.
Yeah, then you need root.
Okay.
Yeah, even on newer devices, as far as I know. So yeah.
Okay. I have another question. When you try to connect to the car, you used a wireless communication with between two of them. But my question is, why didn't you encrypt it? You said no encryption, no security, but the things you put it in there is custom, right? I mean, is it just a hardware limitation or it's a programmer limitation?
The idea behind car.
Yep.
The car is actually, we didn't customize it. It's really like off-the-shelf car.
It's unmodified.
That's
we are
what
not
I'm
running
talking about.
custom code on it.
So that means it's not customized. I'm just reversed the protocol and then used that protocol to actually drive him. So I didn't customize the firmware itself. I only just wrote the protocol, which he already have in the firmware. So I didn't touch the car itself. So yeah, that's why I'm talking about the car, because it doesn't have anything like no encryption, no authentication, nothing. Because if you buy it off the shelf, if somebody connects, he can watch at you via this camera, right?
Okay. I have a last question is, when you try to, how do I say it? You said, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it in my
Yeah,
mind.
sure. Take your time.
Take a sip.
Yeah. Or take a rakia. Or take a rakia and it will be easier. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
I agree.
About the ADB connection, you said we can use a TCP IP connection over to logcat and serial connection.
Yes.
So you said it doesn't working when you plug the cable, and we can do some sort of other communications too. But on my device, I tested myself, but I don't have all the phones. But
Yes.
as I know, my phone is Galaxy Note 2, which is old. But I can, when I connect with the cable, I can still do the other stuff too. So maybe you said is some sort of a device differences between this ADB cable way limitations, but if we use the wireless way, yes, we're gonna be just free ourselves from the cable, but we can still do multiple stuff in the cable too.
Yes.
Or it's just a limitation or something like that.
That's actually device specific. If you ever had Galaxy Nexus, the original Nexus,
Yes.
which is similar to your phone,
Yep.
if you have older kernel, you would get a shitload of USB devices when you connect it to computer. You would get a separate serial device for the modem. You would get a separate storage device for the internal flash, and then when they started updating kernel, you started losing those abilities. So this is surely specific to your particular device.
Okay.
So in a sense, you are happy.
Yeah.
But because in my safe, I just customize my kernel a lot, so I have all of it in once. I can see it, I can transfer it. I don't have any loss. So that's why I wonder, is it device specific or not? So now I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. For example, here is only have one port, right? Tablet. But if you have some kind of like STB Android device, they have usually much more ports, so you can actually just use all of them. Or USB. Yeah. Yeah. That's really depends. So.
Once you are running a very, very security thing in Linux, sorry, Android on your system, so it's already there in the kernel customization.
Yeah.
So you have that ability to do that because it's preloaded in kernel, as I know. So of course, as I tested with my device too.
Yeah. And the other way is actually because it's device dependent, and sometimes it's just easier. It's just ADB over network is kind of much easier, right?
The only limitation I saw is kernel needs to be at least 2.4. If it's lower,
Then
there are
no.
lots of problems. That's the only problem I encounter. My only limitation is kernel, and manufacturer doesn't upload the kernel, so it sucks.
So-
Let me just repeat it for the camera, because I don't think that people who are watching the stream will hear. The only really important thing is that your kernel is 3.4
Yeah, and higher, right?
or higher. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks and comments.
On the other hand, if you have Android device and you don't care about Android, please try porting newer kernel to it. It's not that hard. If you want to talk about it.
We are here. Yeah. Any other question? Oh, we have one
Yep.
more question. Are you over 18?
Can we see the identification card? Are you over 18?
I have one.
I'm kidding.
I did an mmap scan on the car, and I saw it had a telnet port open.
Yeah.
Have you tried playing with that?
Yeah. But the problem is it's embedded, and if you just like you have to really be nice, because it restarts itself after some time, and then if you try to guess the passwords, it takes a lot of time.
So you don't know the password, or?
Not yet, but feel free to guess it, right? You can connect to it. And
I tried root. It's not.
yeah, it's not root Tor, or it's not like 000. Yeah,
Okay.
try it out.
Thank
But if you find it, feel free. This job is not finished. Like with multimeter as well, there is still a lot of things to play. So we will put it on the GitHub. If you have any idea or something, we will leave it here for some time if you want to play. So yeah, definitely, if you're looking to play with something, we can leave it here and you can just try to guess it. Or maybe you already have root here, I don't know. Let me know.
One more?
Question?
One more. Come on.
Come on, last one.
Just one more. And we'll let you go. Because our time is almost up.
Yeah. Oh, we have one.
You're coming to microphone, right? Not leaving.
Oh,
Okay.
come on. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks.